Jai Hind. On this screen, there are three pictures. The middle picture depicts a flower which is blooming and blossoming, and it is the symbol of spring season. The first picture depicts two children carrying the bags of rags, and the other picture reflects a boy who is selling bangles. So in these two pictures, there are children whose childhood has been lost, and the middle one shows the spring season, which is full of joy and happiness. So today we are going to discuss the chapter Lost Spring, which is written by Anees Jung. Anees Jung, who was born in Hyderabad in 1944, is an Indian woman author, journalist, columnist for major newspapers in India and abroad, whose most noted work, Unveiling India, was a detailed chronicle of the lives of women in India, noted especially for the depiction of Muslim women behind the parda. These are some famous works of the author: Unveiling India, Night of the New Moon, Encounters with Muslim Women in India, Seven Sisters, Breaking the Silence, Beyond the Courtyard, When a Place Becomes a Person, The Song of India, and Lost Spring, Stories of Stolen Childhood, from which the present lesson has been taken. Now look at this picture. Oh wow, such a beautiful picture of spring season, where the flowers are blossoming, the trees are also blossoming, and there is an environment which is full of happiness, joy, blooms, and it is directly connected with the theme of the chapter, Lost Spring. Lost Spring is a story of deprived childhood, in which the author has depicted the children of poor families whose childhood has been stolen, and they are helpless as they have to help their families in earning their livelihood. There is no joy in their lives. There is no childhood in their childhood, and that is why the story has been titled as Lost Spring. Let's move to the summary of the chapter. This story has been divided into two parts. First part, sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage, revolves around Sahib, who is a rag picker who belongs to Bangladesh, but due to storms, their fields and houses were swept away there, and they had to shift in New Delhi, in Simapuri area, which is a slum area actually. And see, here are two pictures of Delhi. New Delhi, which is the capital of India, is full of all facilities, while Simapuri, which is a slum area, is devoid of even the basic amenities like drainage, sewage, and proper supply of water. The houses which are there in Simapuri are made of mud, tarpaulin, and tin, and they are living like animals at this place. Now in Simapuri, Sahib is working as a rag picker, and there are other boys who do the same work like Sahib. There are 10,000 families which are living in Simapuri, and they don't have any identity except a ration card, which gets them listed in voters list and buy their grains. When the author encounters Sahib, she asked him why did he not go to school, and he replied that there was no school in his neighborhood. The author then promised him to build a school for him, although she knew that it was only a fake promise, because it was next to impossible to build a school, and these type of promises were hanging everywhere in the world of Sahib. Let's move to the explanation part. Sahib and his family are refugees. They belong to Dhaka, Bangladesh. Due to a storm, their homes along with their fields got swept away. They then settled in Simapuri, which is a part of Delhi, yet deprived of basic facilities. One day, the author encountered Sahib and promised him to build a school for him. Next time, when she met Sahib, he asked her whether the school was ready. And then she realized the hollowness of her promise because it was difficult to build a school. There were a lot of boys like Sahib, means it was a group of these kind of boys who used to pick ranks. On one side, garbage was a means of survival for the elders, while on the other side, it was wrapped in wonders for children. Means garbage has two different meanings, one for elders and the other for children. On another day, the author asked a group of rag pickers the reason of their being barefoot. They tried to hide their poverty and gave lame excuses. Somebody said that it's the fault of his mother. Some other boy said that it was a custom in their family to remain barefoot. The author recollects a story of a young school-going boy, son of a priest, who would often pray in the temple for a pair of shoes. Means at that time, the son of the priest did not have any shoes to wear. But 30 years later, the author herself visited Udupi and saw the house of the present priest. And what did she find? She found that the son of the priest, who is a priest now, he is dressed in a school uniform complete with shoes and socks. Means now the son of the priest have shoes. But these boys who are picking rags in cities still remain barefoot. She remembered the other boy's prayer to God on having received a pair of shoes. He had prayed that he might never lose them. The boy's prayer was answered, but the cities are still full of rag pickers moving barefoot all their life. The author takes us to the outskirts of Delhi to a place called Simapuri. Simapuri, which is full of the houses of mud, tarpaulin and tin. And there are living 10,000 rag pickers. The houses in Simapuri are made of mud, tarpaulin and tin. And there 10,000 rag pickers are living without any basic amenities. They don't have even their identity cards. They have only one thing, and that is ration cards. And the reason of having ration card is to get them listed in voter lists. It disclosed that sometimes they find even a 10 rupee note in the garbage. One morning in winter, the author saw Sahib standing by a fenced gate of a neighborhood club looking at two young men in the tennis court. He explained that the tennis shoes he was wearing were given by someone. Later, Sahib was employed at a tea stall. Now he was earning more, but he was not happy, as he was no longer his own master. Word meanings: perpetual state of poverty, never-ending condition of being poor. Abound, exist in large numbers. Embarrassed, feeling ashamed. Barefoot, wearing nothing in the feet. Shuffles, slides them over each other. Excuse, a reason to justify a fault. Acquaintance means contact. Periphery, outer area. Metaphorically, symbolically. Squatters, a person who unlawfully occupies an uninhabited building or unused land. Wilderness, a wasteland. Tarpaulin, heavy duty waterproof cloth. Permits, legal documents. move to the second part of the story. I want to drive a car. This part revolves around Mukesh, who belongs to a family of bangle makers who are living in Firozabad. In stinky lanes they are living. Their living conditions are not good, and when the author goes with Mukesh to his house, she looks at a half-built hovel, a small house which was half-built. All the families living there are involved in bangle making profession. When the author asks them why they cannot come out of this profession and start something new, their replies are that they are stuck in a vicious circle. Vicious circle which is an unending circle. A circle which has no ends. So they are stuck in a vicious circle of policemen, bureaucrats, middlemen and politicians. In these houses there are bangles everywhere, in every corner. But Mukesh did not lose his hope. He wants to be a motor mechanic. He has a ray of hope, while all other bangle makers have no hopes in their lives. Explanation. Unlike Sahib, Mukesh did not want to work under anymore. He desired to be his own master. He announced he would be a motor mechanic. He belonged to Firozabad, where the bangle making has passed on from generation to generation. Mukesh's family was also into the same occupation without any idea about the illegalities of child labor and the offense of putting children in such hazardous workplaces. Mukesh proudly took the author to his home through stinking lanes, obstructed with heaps of garbages and broken down shackles, where humans and animals coexisted. Means there was no difference between humans and animals in that area. In his half-built hovel, a thin young woman, Mukesh's sister-in-law, was cooking dinner for the entire family. She smiled at the writer but withdrew behind a wall as her father-in-law, Mukesh's father, arrived. Now the question is, why did she hide herself? And the answer is that there was a tradition of veiling the face of a woman when in front of elders. Except from teaching his boys the art of bangle making and making the house, Mukesh's father could not accomplish anything more. Mukesh's grandmother, who had seen her husband go blind from the dust of glass, accepted it as her destiny and remarked that the family lineage of bangle making could not be broken as it was God-given lineage. Surrounded by heaps of bangles lying in their dirty yards, young men pushed hand carts laden with them along the narrow lanes of the shanty town. Parents and children sit in the dark hutments beside the flickering flames, giving shape and color to the glass circles. Most of them gradually lose their eyesight and suffer from lung diseases as they work in dark hutments day and night around hot furnaces. A young girl in a faded pink dress works on bangles along with her grandmother. The author wonders whether Savita, the young girl, even realizes the significance of these colored bangles. The author suggested formation of cooperatives to escape the vicious circle of middlemen who have always forced and exploited them. The bangle makers told about their helplessness because whenever they attempted to unite and form a cooperative, they were victimized and tortured by the police, who were hand in glove with the middlemen and bureaucrats. Start. The author could visualize two words here. One was that of perennial suffering, to which the Bengal makers belonged, and the other was that of the nexus between middlemen, the police, bureaucrats, and politicians. Defiance or deviation was nowhere seen. It was only in Mukesh that a spark of dare was seen. He was ready to walk to the garage, which was far away from his home. He did not dream of flying an airplane, but was content with his dream of cars. That seemed more real to him. Moreover, they had seen very few planes flying over Firozabad. Start. Word meanings: dingy, dark or dim. Slog, work hard. Brightness of their eyes here refers to the power to see. Stinging, bad smell. Hovels, slums. Crumbling, falling down. And wobbly, unsteady. Shack, a roughly built hut. Thatched, covered with dry grass. Vessel, a container for cooking food. Platters, large plates. Sizzling, make or hissing sound when frying or cooking. Chopped, cut finely. Important long answer type questions. Justify the title Lost Spring. And the answer is childhood, which is considered to be the best phase in human life, is compared to spring, which is the best season of the year. Sahib and Mukesh both have lost their childhood in earning their livelihood. Both are involved in child labor without knowing its legitimacy and legality. They don't know that they are working as child laborers and they have no joy in their childhood. So, in a way, they have lost their childhood, which is the spring of their lives. Second question, Simapuri is a part of Delhi, yet miles away from it. Discuss. Answer, Simapuri is situated on the outskirts of Delhi, which is the capital of India, but it lacks basic amenities like sewage, drainage and running water. It is a slum area where there is no development. The houses are made of tarpaulin, tin and mud. More than 10,000 rag pickers live there without an identity, but only ration card, which is in voters lists. More than 10,000 rag pickers are living there without any identity, but ration cards, which gets them enlisted in voters lists. Question 3. What contrast do you notice between the colors of the bangles and the atmosphere of the place where these bangles are made? Now see, on the one side, the bangles are beautiful. They are of 7 colors of rainbow: sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink and purple. While on the other side, the place where the bangles are made is dark, without ventilation, unhygienic, unhealthy. And these children work in dark hutments next to the flickering flames, blowing glass, welding and soldering it to make bangles. They are unaware of the sanctity and beauty of the bangles. Bangles are colorful while the bangle maker's life is colorless. Short answer type questions. How is Sahib's name full of irony? Now, first we should know what is irony. Irony is a figure of speech when some words or a situation describe something different from the reality, that is irony or ironical situation. Sahib's full name was Sahib-e-Alam, which meant Lord of the Universe, while actually he was a rag picker who remained barefoot, who was poverty-stricken and homeless. His name was in total contrast and thus deeply ironical. Second, mention the hazards of working in glass bangles industry. The glass bangle industry in Firozabad is dark and poorly ventilated. Glass blowing furnaces with high temperatures and children and adults work in unhygienic and unhealthy conditions, which causes blindness, lung diseases, and improper sitting positions make them old early too. The last part of the chapter is assignments. Here I have given some assignments for the children. So read them out and do them in your note.